We have a new consumer guide out from NAR, and this one has to do with whether it is a buyer's or a seller's market. And so, as I've done with most of these, I'm pretty much going to read these. I'm probably going to make a comment here and there as we go through. I'm also going to say right off the top, these are generally written more or less for residential real estate. And so it is different. I would say it's actually quite a bit different with commercial real estate. But let's read through it. And so let's get into it. Here we go. Consumer guide, buyers versus sellers market. The real estate market constantly shifts. And knowing whether conditions favor buyers or sellers can help you make smarter, more confident decisions. Here's how to know which type of market you're in and what each means for you. All right, number one, what is a buyer's market? A buyer's market is when there are more homes for sale than there are people looking to purchase a home. With a greater selection of homes on the market and less competition, buyers typically have more time to shop, negotiate better terms, and may even see price reductions or other purchase incentives. What is a seller's market? In a seller's market, there are fewer homes available than there are buyers looking to purchase a home, creating a competitive environment where bidding wars and quick sales can be common. While sellers can often secure higher prices and more favorable contract terms, preparing the home properly and setting a strategic asking price at the outset are still key to attracting strong offers and ensuring a smooth closing. How can you tell which market you're in? The market type you are in is usually reflected through the pace of sales, how many homes are available, and how close the sale price of a home was to its listing price. In hot markets, homes may sell within days, often well above their asking price. In slower markets, listings stay active longer and require more negotiation. An agent who is a realtor can advise you on those trends in your specific market and help you interpret how they affect your goals. What should buyers do in a seller's market? Buyers facing heavy competition should come prepared with a mortgage pre-approval letter, move quickly when a good listing appears, and make strong offers. Waiving contingencies or offering flexible closing terms can also help strengthen your offer, especially in a fast-moving market. Setting a firm budget and walk away point beforehand helps you ensure you don't overextend yourself when the process gets competitive. When selecting a buyer's agent to help you, be sure to ask the 10 questions to ensure you are working with the agent who is best for your needs. So they have a separate consumer guide on 10 questions to ask a buyer's agent. And that's what that refers to. So there's a link in this, and I'll put a link to this consumer guide in the description. And if you pull it up, you can also get the link to those 10 questions. What should sellers do in a buyer's market? When there are more homes than there are interested buyers, sellers should look to prioritize ways of making their property stand out. This could include competitive pricing, investing in curb appeal or staging, and being flexible on timelines or terms. While it might take longer to sell, a well-presented and appropriately priced home can still draw strong interest even when the overall pace of sales slows. Consider asking potential sellers agents these 10 questions to better understand how they can help you maximize your home's appeal. And again, they have a link in here and they're referring to another consumer guide on sellers agents that so you can link to that in here. And once again, I'll have a link to this and then you can get to those questions as well. Can market conditions change quickly? Yes. Markets can quickly shift due to interest rate changes, job growth, seasonal trends, or shifts in consumer confidence. What was a seller's market last year could easily become more balanced or even buyer-friendly within months. Staying informed about local trends helps you better anticipate these changes and adjust your strategy accordingly. And should I wait for a better market? Trying to time the market perfectly can be difficult. In most cases, personal factors such as lifestyle changes, financial readiness, or long-term plans are more important than short-term market fluctuations. If you're prepared, working with a trusted professional can help you navigate conditions as they are and make the best possible decisions for your future. And we have a caveat here. Practices may vary based upon state and local laws. Consult your real estate professional and or attorney for details about state law where you are purchasing a home, and visit facts.realtor for more information or resources. And so I am going to comment on the commercial market. That's a little bit different. So in general, we have been in what is considered a seller's market now, really pretty much ever since COVID. So in general, the definition sort of is when there is about 6 months inventory. In other words, for the total number of homes that are available on the market right now, and the average number of homes sold per month, that the number of homes you have right now would last 6 months if you were to try to sell all of those homes. That is traditionally considered to be a balanced market, and we have not been in that situation in a long time. Although I'm saying that, I need to qualify that a little bit. Here locally, I'm based in Louisville, Kentucky, so in the Kentucky market, I'm also licensed in Indiana. So in Kentucky and Indiana, we are still in a seller's market. However, that is changing across the country. There are places in the country where they have transitioned to a buyer's market. It's not everywhere at all, but there are areas where that is starting to occur. And so my general point of view on this is that you really, I think it's fine to think about buyer's market and seller's market. I think it's not fine to think about good market and bad market in terms of it may be, say it's, good for the seller, but that could be bad for the buyer and vice versa. So saying one is good and one is bad, really the only bad market, in my opinion, is when the total number of transactions are down. And that usually is an indicator of the economy. And we had that just after the 2008 crash. I mean, it was nearly impossible to sell, real estate back then, and everything just kind of crashed. But in commercial real estate, it's harder to put a number on that. I mean, the inventory levels are very, very different from what they are with residential real estate. For example, land sales. Typically, if you do a calculation on the amount of inventory, it's usually in like years. I mean, it's usually like, 7 or 8 years worth of inventory, not, 6 months. And it does sort of change. So for instance, The multifamily market, that tends to be a much shorter period of time, although that has increased. I think it's still under a year. It had been, the demand for multifamily had subsided quite a bit. Still doing better than most commercial real estate assets, but it had really slowed down quite a bit, but it's starting to recover a little bit. Office has been in a really bad condition ever since COVID, although these last year and a half or so, it's shown some improvement, which has been surprising. You know, retail has really been improving since COVID, and retail was not doing that well, and it's starting to do much better. So, but it's not in terms of 6 months or so. It's, you know, generally the only things that are under a year in terms of inventory are multifamily, and industrial is still there. It is industrial has also been, you know, increasing tremendously over the last couple of years. There was a point during the first part of COVID for a few years where industrial was such a hot market. It was really crazy, but that has cooled off a little bit. So it is different, I think. And one of the other things about commercial is you can tell from what I'm saying right now, is within commercial, we have all of these different asset classes. You know, we have office, we have retail, we have multifamily, we have industrial, we have land. And land, I don't even know that land is strictly commercial. It's not really strictly residential. It's not really strictly commercial. It's almost its own animal. And so each of those varies very different as well. So I think that lots of times, especially with commercial, you almost have to talk to like a professional like me to get a good understanding of what's going on. All right, that's it. That is this NAR consumer guide on buyers versus sellers market. So we're going to wrap this up. I'm David McCoy. My company is Otimo Properties. I'm based here in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm licensed in Kentucky and Indiana. I primarily do commercial real estate. I do a little bit of residential, and I do global real estate. And I will put my name and all that stuff in the description along with an email address. By the way, if you have other questions, you can put them in the comments. You might also check, I have a number of videos on my YouTube channel that might answer some of your real estate questions. You might check those out. And also you can just reach out to me if you want to. Oh, and I'll also have a link to my website. You can also look at my website and contact me through there. And that's it, my friends. We will call it a day. And thank you for watching, and keep an eye out for new videos coming soon. Take care. Bye.